In 1971, a mysterious man walked onto a plane with nothing but a briefcase and a chilling plan that would spark one of America's greatest unsolved mysteries. Using the name D.B. Cooper, he handed a note to a flight attendant claiming he had a bomb. He demanded $200,000 in cash and 4 parachutes. The ransom was delivered when the plane landed in Seattle. And then, Cooper did the unthinkable. He ordered the plane back into the air, and somewhere over the dense forests of the Pacific Northwest, he jumped out with the money, disappearing into the night. Despite one of the longest manhunts in FBI history, D.B. Cooper was never found. Some believe he didn't survive the jump. Others think he escaped and lived out his days in secret. To this day, D.B. Cooper's identity and fate remain one of America's greatest unsolved mysteries. What do you think happened to D.B. Cooper? Did you know Japan had its own version of D.B. Cooper? Meet Paul Nakaoka. On November 6, 1972, a Japan Airlines Flight 351 from Haneda to Fukuoka was hijacked. The hijacker, a 47-year-old Japanese man, sought to mimic the 1971 D.B. Cooper case in America. He demanded $2 million, around 600 million yen, and a flight to Cuba. He had purchased a gun in America and made homemade bombs. However, the plane was a short-haul Boeing 727, not the long-range DC-8 he planned for. With fuel running low, he demanded a DC-8 and the $2 million in cash. The police in Japan Airlines pretended to comply while negotiating and deployed undercover officers onto the DC-8. During the transfer of passengers, they stormed the plane, arrested the hijacker, and rescued all passengers. After this, Japanese Airlines implemented stricter protocols for hijacking incidents. So, next time you hear about D.B. Cooper, remember, Japan has its own version too. How a routine flight quickly turned into a tragedy that still haunts aviation history. On December 7, 1987, Pacific Southwest Airlines Flight 1771 took off from Los Angeles, bound for San Francisco. David A. Burke, a disgruntled former employee of U.S. Air, was on board. Recently fired for theft, Burke smuggled a gun past security using his airline credentials. 20 minutes into the flight, Burke approached the cockpit, shot the pilots, and sent the plane into a deadly nosedive. The aircraft crashed into the Santa Lucia Mountains at over 700 miles per hour, killing all 43 on board. Amidst the wreckage, investigators found Burke's chilling note to his former supervisor. "Hi Ray, I think it's sort of ironical that we end up like this. I asked for some leniency for my family, remember? Well, I got none, and you'll get none." PSA Flight 1771 remains a chilling reminder of the vulnerabilities in airline security. Like and follow for more crime stories.
In the dead of night, a massive Boeing 777 carrying 239 souls vanishes without a trace. How does a plane just disappear in the age of modern technology? On March 8, 2014, Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 took off from Kuala Lumpur, headed for Beijing. Everything seemed routine until about an hour after takeoff. The plane's transponder was mysteriously switched off. The aircraft made a sharp turn westward, veering off course. It then flew for hours over the Indian Ocean before vanishing from radar. Global search teams scoured thousands of square miles of ocean, but only a few debris pieces were ever found. Some washed up on the shores of Reunion Island, Mozambique, and Tanzania, hinting at the plane's possible resting place. What caused this detour? Was it a technical failure, a hijacking, or something more sinister? Years later, the fate of Flight 370 remains one of the greatest mysteries in aviation history. Could the truth be lying at the bottom of the ocean, or is it something we may never uncover? The disappearance of MH370 continues to haunt us. Will we ever know what really happened?
Imagine being on a plane, and suddenly, someone takes control with no regard for anyone's life. On November 23, 1996, Ethiopian Airlines Flight 961 was hijacked during its journey from Addis Ababa to Nairobi. The 3 hijackers demanded the plane be flown to Australia, despite the aircraft not having enough fuel. Captain Loyal Abate tried to convince the hijackers to land for refueling, but they refused, threatening to blow up the plane. Running out of fuel, Captain Loyal had no choice but to attempt an emergency landing on the water near the Comoros Islands. The plane crash-landed in the Indian Ocean, breaking apart upon impact. Of the 175 people on board, 125 lost their lives. Despite the tragedy, Captain Loyal's bravery saved 50 lives that day. But the question remains, what could have driven the hijackers to commit such a heinous act?
A helicopter shot down over a conflict zone. But what made this crash so deadly? In 1991, a Milmi 8 helicopter carrying Azerbaijani political and military officials was shot down near the village of Karakend during the heat of the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. All 22 people on board, including high-ranking officials, were killed instantly. The attack escalated tensions between Armenia and Azerbaijan, fueling years of violence in the region. Who fired the fatal shot, and was it a planned assassination or a tragic accident? The truth remains elusive. Follow for more insights into unsolved wartime mysteries.
A devastating explosion at 37,000 feet. What caused Middle East Airlines Flight 438 to disintegrate in midair? In 1976, Flight 438 was en route from Beirut to Saudi Arabia when a bomb detonated on board, killing all 81 passengers and crew. The device was hidden in the cargo, and investigations pointed to sabotage, but the responsible group was never conclusively identified. Who planted the bomb, and why? Decades later, the mystery of Flight 438 still haunts the skies. Follow for more mysterious aviation disasters.
53 priceless paintings, a plane vanishing without a trace. What really happened to Varig Flight 967? On January 30th, 1979, Varig Flight 967 took off from Tokyo bound for Rio, carrying 6 crew members and a cargo worth millions, including irreplaceable paintings by Manabu Mabe. Just 30 minutes into the flight, radio contact was lost and the plane mysteriously disappeared over the Pacific. No wreckage, no distress call, nothing was ever found. How can a massive plane and valuable art just vanish? Was it a heist, a crash, or something more sinister? The mystery endures with no answers in sight. Like and follow for more unsolved mysteries.
A plane vanishes, only to crash into a volcano. But what caused this mysterious accident? On the day Mokuho-go disappeared, reports from the US military sent search efforts, spiraling in the wrong direction. When the wreckage was finally found, it raised even more questions. Why did the plane crash into Mount Mihara when it should have been flying much higher? Investigators suspected pilot error, but with missing communication tapes and only typed records provided, the truth remained elusive. Was it human error, sabotage, or something more sinister? The mystery endures. Follow for more aviation mysteries.